Hey there, fellow. Before we dive into a story that is wilder than a moose on the loose, do me a solid and like and subscribe. And seriously, folks, what is one life lesson everyone should hear before it is too late? Share it in the comments below, Thanks a bunch. He slammed the rent contract on my dresser, like I was some random buddy crashing on his Chesterfield. Not the mom who raised him, fed his kids, and kept his house running for 3 straight years, no charge. Pay rent or hit the road, Owen said, not even flinching. So, I packed up. No yelling, no tears, just one bag, one step, one door closed. What he did not know, a week later, I would be sitting on $4.2 million and holding the deed to the very house he thought was all his. I was folding Owen's youngest son's laundry when he knocked on the door, holding a manila envelope like it was a court summons. "Can we talk?" he mumbled, but there was no warmth in his voice, I thought it might be something about the boys, school stuff, maybe. Instead, he handed me the paper. Rent agreement, $200 a month. Due the first of every month, starting next week. I stared at it, trying to find a trace of humor on his face, but his expression was stone. "You have been living here for free for 3 years, Mum. We just can't carry the whole load anymore," he said. I opened my mouth but nothing came out. My chest felt tight, like the walls were shrinking. Brooke was not far behind. She stood just outside the doorframe, arms crossed, eyes sharp, with something between smugness and relief. "It is only fair," she added. "We pay all the bills. You eat, you shower, you live here. It is not sustainable." I looked at Owen again, searching for the son I raised, the boy I worked night shifts for, skipped meals for, sold my car, for when he and Brooke needed help with that down payment. Instead, I saw a man I did not recognize. "I have been helping," I managed to say. "The kids, the cleaning, every meal you have eaten since 2020. "That is not the same as money," Brooke snapped. "We need cash, not casseroles." I could not breathe. That night, I overheard them in the kitchen. "She is not going to pay," Brooke said. "She does not have it. I told you. Just give her the deadline and let her figure it out. I am not running a charity." Owen did not argue. "Let us just get through the next month," he mumbled. "She will leave." I stood frozen at the top of the stairs, fists clenched. I packed before sunrise. Just one suitcase. No goodbye. I left the house I helped them buy. The house with my name, still quietly sitting on the co-ownership line of the deed, a detail they would long stopped mentioning. I checked into a budget hotel 2 miles from their street mold on the bathroom tile. Flickering ceiling light. Water pressure like a dripping tap. But it was mine. And it was silent. I sat on the bed holding the rent contract like it was a betrayal letter. And for the first time in years, I did not cry. I just felt cold. They did not want me as a mother anymore, only as a tenant. And if they could not get my money, they wanted my absence. That was fine. They would get both. The room smelled faintly of bleach and stale air. Like every choice made, there had been wiped clean and replaced with silence. I sat on the edge of the thin mattress, holding my phone like it might ring, with an apology that never came. The wallpaper peeled in one corner. The heater made a dull rattle every 30 seconds. And outside, the parking lot buzzed with a flickering security light that never turned off. It had been 3 days since I walked out of Owen and Brooke's house. They had not called, had not texted, not even to ask if I made it somewhere safe. I lived with them for over 3 years. I raised their boys from diapers to kindergarten readiness. I gave up my lease, my independence, my small but steady life, all because they asked for help when daycare was too expensive and working from home was not cutting it. And now they had discarded me like clutter. I stared at the bottom of my suitcase, trying to remember what I even owned anymore. 1 purse, 2 pairs of pants, a beat-up cardigan. I opened the old file folder I always carried, in case I needed emergency documentation, birth certificate, health card, hospital records from my years as a licensed home nurse, and tucked between the pages, I found it. A thin envelope labeled Equity Transfer, Whitefield Estates. My breath caught. It was from 5 years ago. My former employer, Mrs. McGregor, had left it for me in her final days, just after I spent 2 months at her side during her last round of chemotherapy. I remembered her voice now, raspy but kind. "I have arranged something for you, dear, quiet, but valuable. You were more than staff, you were family." I would assumed it was a token gesture, but the envelope detailed something much bigger. a 20% equity share in a small real estate development firm she co-founded in the 1980s. I would never followed up on it. At the time, I did not want to make her family uncomfortable, but now, sitting in a crumbling hotel with no one checking if I was alive, I opened my laptop and searched the company name. My jaw dropped. The firm had just closed a massive deal, redevelopment of 3 waterfront properties sold to an international investor group. I scanned the press release, heart pounding. The payout had already been issued to stakeholders. I opened my email, typed in the contact listed on the original document, and within 2 hours, I received confirmation. My portion of the sale was finalized last week. Amount transferred, $4.2 million. I stared at the screen for a long time, not smiling, not crying, just absorbing the new reality. I had been treated like a disposable old woman, a freeloader, a burden. But without asking, without begging, without warning, I now had the power to change everything, and I would, but not for revenge, for clarity, for control. Because I knew this much, I would never again let anyone make me feel small in a house I helped build. I did not call Owen. I did not text Brooke. I did not even tell a single friend. Instead, I sat in that hotel room with the email confirmation glowing on my screen, and stared at it like it might vanish. The number was real. $4.2 million wired into an investment holding account under my name, a structure built quietly by Mrs. McGregor's estate lawyers years ago. I did not jump up and down. I did not laugh or cry. I simply closed the laptop and stood up with a steadiness I had not felt in years. That afternoon, I walked to the nearest bank and scheduled an appointment with a financial advisor, a calm woman named Brenda, who did not flinch when I showed her the documentation. "This is not a lottery win," I said quietly. "It is gratitude repaid. But I want to handle it like a professional." Brenda nodded and got to work. By the next day, I had a full financial strategy in place. Multiple accounts opened under a trust name with transfers structured to avoid unnecessary attention. We invested a portion immediately, and kept a chunk liquid. Then I did something I had not done in over a decade. I walked into a luxury real estate office and asked for a showing. I did not use my real name. I would learnt enough from my years working as a private nurse in wealthy homes to understand how people talk. I signed in as Margaret Davies, a quiet buyer looking for a low-profile home in a gated condo development. When the agent asked about budget, I said no upper limit, just discretion. We toured 3 places. The third one was perfect. 2 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the harbor, keycard entry, underground parking, concierge services, and a quiet demographic. I signed the paperwork that same day and wired the full payment in cash. No financing, no waiting. That night, I left the hotel without a word and moved into the condo like a shadow stepping into sunlight. No one knew I was there. No one knew I had money. And that was exactly how I wanted it. For the first time in decades, I had a space of my own again. No baby monitors buzzing, no chores waiting, no passive-aggressive notes about groceries on the fridge. I stocked the kitchen with food I actually liked, not juice boxes and microwave dinners. I bought a new coat. I threw away the threadbare cardigan. I got a proper haircut and replaced my phone with a new one. New number, clean slate. But this was not about transformation. This was about taking inventory. Because now that I was stable, I remembered something very specific. The house Owen and Brooke lived in, the one I helped them get the mortgage for 5 years ago, it was not fully theirs. Back then, their credit was not strong enough on its own, and the bank had required a co-signer. I agreed, but only if my name went on the deed. I never revoked it. They would never brought it up again, assuming I would forgotten, but I had not. And now, with a lawyer on retainer and nothing left to lose, I wanted to see exactly how much legal ground I still stood on. It was not about taking anything back. Not yet. But it was time they remembered I was not someone they could erase without consequence. I did not go through the front door. I went through the courthouse records. It took one afternoon, one quiet trip downtown, and a 30-minute wait in the county clerk's office, before a staffer printed out the property deed with my name still listed clearly, alongside Owen and Brooks. A footnote, not a past owner, a full legal co-owner. I stared at the paper, like it was a photograph of a memory I thought I would lost. 5 years ago, I would co-sign the mortgage because they could not qualify on their own. I never pushed to remove myself. Because I trusted them. Because I believed that the house I helped them buy was a gift to their future, not an asset to leverage. I went home and emailed the file to Brenda, my advisor, and to Marianne, a new attorney I just hired on retainer. Marianne replied within the hour. Legally, you own 50% of the property unless a signed agreement states otherwise. They can't sell or refinance without your consent. That was all I needed. I did not need to barge in. I did not need to make a scene. I just needed to file the correct paperwork. I instructed Marianne to prepare a formal notice of intent to initiate partition. It meant one thing: they would have to buy me out at fair market value, or be forced to sell the home entirely. I did not want the house. I wanted the silence broken. I wanted Owen to remember who helped him climb and who he would try to erase. That evening, while sipping tea in my new condo, I checked the family group chat I would been removed from. Still locked, still cut out, not a single message from either of them. So I texted my accountant instead and said, let us get an appraiser on their property by Friday. The next day, a real estate assessor hired quietly and legally showed up at the house. Owen called me 2 hours later. His name popped up on my new phone, which I had not given to anyone. My gut said Marianne had notified them already. I answered, and his voice was sharp, confused, and defensive. Mum, why is someone trying to appraise our house? I did not flinch. Because it is not just your house. My name's still on the deed. You forgot. He paused. I could hear Brooke in the background whispering something urgently. Then Owen said, but you gave us that house. I co-signed for it. I never signed it over. There is a difference, I said flatly. You want to throw me out like a stranger? Then we will act like strangers. This is business now. He tried to soften. Come on, do not do this. Let us talk face to face. You made your position clear, I replied. You wanted me gone, so I am gone. Now we deal with paperwork. I hung up. My hands were not shaking. There was no guilt, just a calm, cold clarity I had not felt in years. They had turned me from family into a tenant. So now I would return the favor. As a co-owner of that home, I had the right to half its value. And I was going to take it quietly, legally, and without 1 ounce of hesitation. Let them feel what it is like to lose comfort. Let them taste the unease they fed me. This was not revenge, this was a reset. 2 days after the appraisal notice landed on their doorstep, Owen showed up outside the gates of my condo building, holding a bouquet of drooping supermarket flowers like we were in the third act of a cheap drama. He buzzed the intercom, and when I did not answer, he waited. 30 minutes later, when I came downstairs to run errands, he rushed to meet me at the lobby entrance, his smile forced, eyes wide like a child caught stealing. Mum, can we talk? He asked, blocking my path. I think we all overreacted. Brooke did not mean to sound harsh. It has just been stressful lately. I looked at him without emotion. Stressful? You handed your mother a rent bill and told her to get out. That was not stress. That was a decision. His shoulders stiffened, but he kept the pleading tone. We were overwhelmed. You have always said you value independence. We just figured you might want your own space again. You did not offer space, I said calmly. You offered an ultimatum. I stepped around him, but he followed. You are really going through with this. You are going to force us to sell our house. I stopped, turned slowly and met his eyes. No, I am giving you the option to buy out my share. That is more than fair. His voice cracked. We can't afford that. Not now. Then you will need to make a decision, I said, and kept walking. That evening Brooke called. I did not answer. She left a voicemail. Calculated, overly sweet. Hi Margaret. Just wanted to say we miss you and the kids ask about you all the time. Maybe you could swing by and see them this weekend. They have been drawing pictures for you. I played it once, then deleted it. The next day, a delivery driver showed up at my door with a package. Inside was a handmade card from my youngest grandson, and a photo of the kids holding a sign that read, We love Grandma. Tucked underneath was a note from Brooke. Let us not let money come between us. You will always have a place in our home. I stared at it for a long moment, then dropped it straight into the shredder. They had not checked on me when I vanished, not one text when I left. But now that my name was on legal paperwork, I was suddenly their cherished matriarch again. I was not playing this game. That week, I had a custom security gate installed in the condo garage and updated the doorman with a list of people not to let in under any circumstances. Owen came by again, this time with both kids in tow, trying to paint a sidewalk reunion scene straight out of a TV special. I stood on the other side of the glass doors and watched him mouth my name, holding the youngest in his arms like a shield. I did not move. I did not smile. I turned and walked back toward the elevator. If they wanted a mother, they should have treated me like one, before they treated me like a paycheck. The message had been sent and the line was now drawn. I was not just retired, I was unavailable permanently. It started with a video captioned, "When your husband's mother abandons you after using you for years," and within 2 hours it had 50,000 views. I did not have TikTok on my phone, but a former colleague from my nursing days texted me the link with a single line, "They are making it public now." I clicked the link, and there she was, Brooke, tear-streaked and glowing in filtered light, sitting on the edge of their perfectly curated living room, speaking softly to the camera. "We opened our home to her during the hardest years," she said, her voice trembling. "We gave her everything, and now she is trying to take our house away. I am not doing this for sympathy, I just want people to know the truth." She went on for 5 minutes, carefully balancing just enough tears with just enough humility to make herself look like a saint. Owen appeared halfway through, eyes lowered, nodding solemnly, saying things like, "I just did not think my own mum would turn on us like this. We are not greedy, we just wanted peace." I stared at the screen and felt no anger, only strategy forming. The comment section was a flood of sympathy. "How could a mother do this to her own son? She must be mentally ill. You are so strong for speaking up." Brooke leaned into it. She posted 3 more videos that week. One, showing old photos of me with the kids. Another walking through the house while whispering, "She wants to take this from her grandchildren." And a third, standing outside the house saying, "We might lose this soon. Please send prayers." Donations started trickling into their linked Venmo. I sat in my condo watching all of it unfold, and not once did I feel the need to respond. Not yet. Let them build their narrative. Let the world rally. Because when I spoke, it would not be in whispers or half-truths. It would be with documents, dates, contracts, receipts. And when I dropped them, the silence would be louder than any of their cries. Until then, I let them enjoy their little performance because I already knew how it ended. Not with a dramatic twist, but with a quiet shutdown. I was not going to shout, I was going to prove. And when the curtain fell, they would be the only ones standing there exposed. I did not announce anything. I just made an account, uploaded a video, and let the truth speak first. No filters, no tears, no background music. Just me sitting at my dining table, clean light pouring in from the window behind me, a stack of documents laid out with care. I introduced myself plainly. "I am Margaret Davies. I have been silent for weeks while my son and his wife told the world I abandoned them. Now I would like to explain my side with facts, not feelings." Then I started showing them. Scanned grocery receipts from the last 3 years, many over $300 per week, all paid from my pension. Photos of me making school lunches, birthday cakes, cleaning the yard in winter while they vacationed. Screenshots of money transfers, $15,000 for their kitchen renovation, another $3,000 when their car broke down. Childcare logs I would kept out of habit, with notes on when each grandchild had fevers, doctor visits, milestones. Then I unfolded the property deed, holding it up close to the lens. "This is the house they live in," I said, my voice steady. "Look closely at the names. Mine is right there." I did not demand rent. I was evicted. And when I exercised my legal right to reclaim what I helped build, I became the villain in their story. I ended the video there. No commentary, no accusations. I posted it with the caption, "Let us balance the story." Within an hour, comments flooded in. I believed them. Now I feel sick. This woman has every receipt, literally. Justice for Margaret views exploded past 100,000, then 1,000,000. People reposted, stitched, analyzed. A lawyer even broke down the legal filing I would mentioned, confirming everything I said was airtight. News outlets picked it up. Local stations, then national ones. Brooke's next video tried to spin it. "I did not lie," she insisted. "She is twisting everything. We just needed help." But the comments had turned. Her sympathy wave collapsed under the weight of evidence. Screenshots of my post lined up next to hers in side-by-side comparisons. One user captioned it, "Brooke said vibes." Margaret said documentation, sponsors she would partnered with, pulled out, PTA boards removed her name from directories. And Owen, once smug in the background, now looked like he wanted to melt into the floor every time a camera turned on. I was not gloating, I did not smile. I posted only one follow-up video. This is not revenge, this is record-keeping. And I kept it to that. Then I logged off because I did not need applause. I had reclaimed something far better. Credibility, visibility and silence where chaos once lived. Let them spin. I had already spoken. And now the world was listening. The collapse did not come with screaming or slammed doors. It came with silence, hesitation, and then a quiet unraveling that no PR spin could salvage. Within a week of my video going viral, Brooke's sponsored posts disappeared from her account, replaced with vague captions about taking a mental health break and stepping away from negativity. But the comments kept piling up. Where's the apology? What happened to the full story? Margaret deserves more than silence. The PTA emailed her a formal removal notice citing community trust concerns, and someone in the neighborhood posted a screenshot of the board vote, unanimous. Then came the real shift. Owen's work called him in for a meeting after someone forwarded the video thread. He was not fired, but he was placed under review, and suddenly his LinkedIn went private. Meanwhile, I sat across from Marianne, my attorney, as she slid a stack of documents toward me. The petitions filed. They have 30 days to respond. If they can't buy you out, we force a sale. I nodded, not out of malice but finality. This was no longer emotional, it was contractual. I did not care if they lost a house. I cared that they finally understood the cost of erasing someone's contribution. Brooke tried one last Hail Mary, posting a teary video with the kids in the background, saying, "We are being punished for something that was never about money." But the tone had shifted. People were not buying it anymore. They asked questions. Why did not you respond with your own proof? Why did you evict her before even offering a discussion? Why was it okay to use her when it was convenient? The donations stopped. Their sympathy engine shut down. Meanwhile, Brenda, my financial advisor, forwarded me 2 offers from buyers interested in their house. Word had gotten around that a forced sale was pending and real estate agents were circling. I sent them both to Marianne and said, "Let us prepare the response packet." I did not watch their accounts anymore. I did not track their lives. I had no interest in whether Brooke deleted her TikTok or if Owen found a new job. What mattered was that the false image they built had cracked wide open. Not by accident, but by fact. They tried to rewrite the story with filters and hashtags. I rewrote it with the truth. And when it was time to close the final chapter of this home, I would not walk in as a mother trying to be accepted. I would walk in as a co-owner reclaiming what was always mine. No apologies needed. No forgiveness required. Just the end of a transaction disguised for years as love. I knew they would try something desperate, but I did not expect them to drag my sister into it, especially not after 10 years of silence. When a video popped up featuring a woman with my nose and voice, claiming I would always been obsessed with money and manipulated everyone around her, I did not get angry. I got focused. That woman was Beverly, my estranged younger sister. Someone I had not spoken to since the night she stole $3,500 from our dying mother's hospice fund, and vanished. Seeing her now acting like some authority on my character was almost laughable. She sat in a cluttered kitchen speaking to the camera like a low-budget documentary subject. Reciting lines Brooke and Owen had clearly fed her. Margaret was never maternal, she said, shaking her head. She always looked down on people. She acted like she was better than us, just because she worked for rich families. The video made it onto Reddit, Twitter, even a couple reaction channels looking to fan the flames. It racked up a few 100,000 views before I responded. I did not raise my voice or defend myself emotionally. I just uploaded a PDF to my public drive and posted the link with one sentence. The woman in that video once signed over medical power of attorney to me while I paid her rent during cancer treatment she now denies ever having. Attached were hospital bills in my name, email correspondence with her care team, rent receipts, and a notarized affidavit from her former landlord confirming I would covered 7 months of payments. Within hours the Reddit thread turned. Wait, she lied about her illness, Margaret paid her bills and now she is calling her greedy. This is embarrassing. Someone even tracked down a GoFundMe Beverly had set up years ago. claiming she was homeless. Despite the evidence that I would housed her, it was over before it really started. Brooke and Owen had gambled on a weak narrative, hoping the internet would be too lazy to check the facts. But I did not come unarmed. I had decades of proof. Because when you have spent your life being underestimated, you learn to document everything. Owen tried to backpedal, claiming in a deleted post that we did not know Beverly's history, and that family dynamics are complicated, but it was too late. Their credibility was shattered, and all they were done was show everyone how far they were willing to stoop just to dodge accountability. Meanwhile, I continued with the partition process, met with buyers, and scheduled inspections. Every move I made was clean, traceable, and legal. I did not need to smear them. I just needed to let them talk long enough to expose who they really were. And by now, the world had seen more than enough. The town's annual spring open market was the last place I expected to be ambushed. But Brooke's mother, Brenda, had never been one for subtlety. I was Brow's handmade soaps when she stormed up, sunglasses perched high on her head like a crown, lips curled with righteous fury. "How dare you show your face here?" she hissed loud enough for nearby vendors to glance over. "You destroyed your own family, and you are walking around like nothing happened. People like you should not be allowed to raise children, let alone rip their lives apart." I stayed calm as always. "I do not respond to public scenes," I said, stepping aside. But she moved to block me, her voice rising. "You are a disgrace, posting videos, humiliating Owen and Brooke online. You think that makes you a hero?" The crowd had started gathering, phones discreetly lifted, people murmuring. I opened my purse slowly, took out a flash drive, and held it up. "If you are so interested in what is humiliating, you might want to hear what your daughter and son-in-law really think." "Of me?" I said. "Play this at your next family dinner," she sneered. "What is that, more lies?" I smiled faintly. "It is audio, a conversation recorded by accident. They were talking about me, about how long they could milk me before I figured it out. Want to know what your daughter said? As long as she is breathing and paying bills, let her stay." Owen laughed and called me a walking wallet with Alzheimer's. Should I go on? Brenda's face dropped, color draining, her bravado crumbling under the weight of a truth she did not expect. "You are bluffing," she muttered. "You made that up." I did not flinch. "I have already submitted it as supporting documentation in the partition case. It is verified and time-stamped. The judge has heard it. Would you like me to email you a copy too?" She did not speak, just stared, jaw tightening, then turned and stormed off as the onlookers parted for her like a shame parade. I left without saying another word, walking past the crowd with the same calm dignity I would walked out of Owen's house with. Back home, I received confirmation the recording had been reviewed and filed by the court, strengthening my case. The next day, Brooke's online accounts went private, her videos deleted, her Venmo link scrubbed. Owen did not post anything either. Silence fell like a curtain. I had not needed to yell, accuse, or scream. All I had to do was show the truth. And that, more than any dramatic performance, left them exposed in a way no recovery could patch. It took less than a week after the audio leaked for Brooke to file for divorce, and even less time for the news to reach me through a mutual acquaintance who worked in the county clerk's office. The document was public record, Brooke citing irreconcilable betrayal, financial negligence, and reputational harm. Not just vague language but full accusations aimed directly at Owen. I was not surprised. Brooke had always been transactional, and the moment the social media backlash cost her brand deals and PTA positions, she needed a new scapegoat, and Owen fit the bill perfectly. From what I was told, she served him the papers on a Thursday morning, and left with the kids by noon, staying at her mother's while Owen was left alone in the house that was now under court-ordered sale review. He tried to reach out twice, once through a voicemail, once through a mutual friend. Both times the message was the same: "This got out of hand. Mum, I never wanted this to happen." I did not reply. I let the silence stretch because the truth was, everything that had happened he had allowed. He had pushed it forward. He had taken a piece of paper and told his mother to pay rent or get out. And every domino that fell after was set in motion by that single moment of audacity and cruelty. Now it had all caught up. Meanwhile, I finalized the paperwork with Marianne and accepted the highest offer on the house, selling my 50% share to a real estate investor who planned to renovate and flip it. I did not ask who would buy Owen out or where he would go. I did not care. The funds hit my account in full, and I immediately transferred half of it into a scholarship endowment I set up in my own name for working grandmothers raising their grandchildren. It was not for show. It was a final act of closure. I had given everything I had to Owen, emotionally, financially, physically, and when that was not enough, he had tried to convert my love into rent. Now that love had turned into independence, and that independence had become unshakable, I sold the condo a week later, packed what little I needed, and moved to a quiet coastal town 3 hours away. New number, new address, no forwarding information. For the first time in decades, I did not owe anyone anything. Not my time, not my energy, not my silence, and certainly not my forgiveness. I was not angry anymore. I was finished. And that was something far stronger than revenge. It was peace. Months passed without a single word from Owen. Not a call, not a letter, not even an anonymous email trying to sneak past the filters I would installed in my new digital life. But one morning, while having coffee at a small lakeside cafe near my new home, an old neighbor from my previous street sat down across from me with wide eyes and said, "I just saw a video. You won't believe where Owen ended up." I did not flinch, did not ask. But she kept going, pulling out her phone and flipping it around, showing me a blurry clip of Owen on a street corner in a neighboring city, live streaming to a few hundred viewers from a borrowed phone, his eyes hollow, clothes wrinkled, voice barely holding together as he told his audience how he would been abandoned by everyone, and robbed of his inheritance, spinning yet another sob story. But now without Brooke, without the kids, without the house. Just a man sitting beside a cracked thermos and a cardboard sign that read, "Help me start over." And as I watched him, gesturing at passing cars, trying to muster outrage and pity in equal measure, I did not feel satisfaction or triumph or even sorrow. I felt nothing. Not numbness but clarity. A kind of emotional stillness that comes when something ends so completely there is no residue left behind. He had played every angle, weaponized every relationship, and now he was left with the only version of himself he could not rebrand, the truth. I thanked my neighbor politely, paid my bill, and walked home under a canopy of wisteria blooms, the air warm and quiet, my garden waiting, my easel set up beneath the window, my inbox empty of noise, my phone free of pleas. I brewed another cup of coffee and sat down with a book I had not read since I was 23, back when I still believed family always meant safety. I would unlearn that since. I would learn that love must be earned, that sacrifice must be seen, that silence is not weakness but choice, and that letting go does not make you cruel, it makes you free. People still ask sometimes in passing conversations or curious moments, "Do you regret cutting him off?" And I always gave the same answer with the same calm smile. No, I regret not doing it sooner. Because the truth is, kindness without boundaries is not virtue, it is self-erasure. And I had spent enough of my life erasing myself for people who would never bother remembering what I gave up for them. I did not wish Owen harm, I did not hope he suffered, I just hoped he learned. But whether he did or did not was no longer my burden to carry. That weight had been put down, that door had been closed. And from where I sat now, with the water sparkling outside and not a single voice demanding anything from me, it was clear. I had not lost a son. I had reclaimed a life. And that is why I am telling this story, because I made it out. I am living in a place that is mine, surrounded by calm, not chaos. I smile when I wake up, I cook for one, and I sleep with a clear heart. I am not waiting for anyone to come around. I am happy, I am free. And I would not change a thing. That is it for today, folks. What would you have done in her place? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I love reading what you all think, and hey, if this story hit you, check out these videos too, you won't want to miss them.